Hi everyone. So, this is my TED Talk video. The first TED Talk I watched, actually no, it wasn't the first. I went through a couple before I picked out three of them. Oh, first of all, was unfamiliar with TED Talks, so I had no idea what they were at first. But as I watched them, I began to thoroughly enjoy myself. I really enjoyed all the different concepts and ideas they were talking about. So, I picked out three that I really liked, and were from diverse groups and about diverse topics. So, the first one was by Jeremy Kasdan. You have to forgive me if I'm butchering some of these names here. And he was talking about a new flower-shaped star shade that would help us detect Earth-like planets in the distance. So, he begins by explaining how it was difficult to detect planets to begin with. He says that we were detecting them indirectly, and I won't go exactly into detail about that. But in order to get a more accurate view of the planets, we would have to actually get a picture of them, which isn't how we do it now. But the problem with that is that the brightness of the nearby star keeps drowning out the planets, so we couldn't see them. However, he brought up the example of a solar eclipse in which the moon comes over the sun and we can get a good view of the sun's corona, the surrounding of the sun without the brightness in our faces. And he explained how this can be done with other stars. If we got a good enough shade in front of the star, we could then get a good view of the surrounding planets. And that is what this project he was proposing was, called a star shade, where it's literally this disk in front of the telescope that is blocking out the sun, but not the surrounding area. And this particular star shade, because of how it has to work, how it has to behave, it's kind of shaped like a flower. So his speech was quite entertaining, partially because I'm a little bit into astronomy myself. And he used very simple language explaining what he was talking about, what the problems were, using very simple language to do so, and used very thorough examples. And he was obviously, especially near the end, very passionate about his subject, especially the project that they've been working on, this flower-shaped star shade. And the second TED Talk that I picked was by a Hugh once again, forgive me if I'm butchering the name, and he is talking about bionics, robotic limbs, how they can let us run, climb, and even dance. The first thing I noticed about this speaker was that he has his own prosthetics. From knees down, from above the knees, I believe, he is missing his legs. So he had two prosthetic legs. And the observer could notice that these bionics were rather advanced and he was very comfortable using them. So, he explains how he doesn't consider his missing legs a disability, and he in fact shares a few humorous stories about his past with his prosthetics, how sometimes when he was feeling in a bad mood or kind of depressed, he would increase his height by jacking up his legs so that he could appear taller to everyone else. Or if he was feeling in a rather good mood, he would make himself shorter, so as he put it, give it some competition. So he was very humorous in that aspect. He explained how robotic limbs work, how they connect to the body, how they even connect to the nervous system so that the signals from the brain are connected to the robot, can give signals to the robotic limbs, and allowing them to move just as you would your actual limb. It showed an image of this person, may have been the speaker, I don't know. He was remembering how to move his heel, but obviously the man was missing his leg from the knee down, so all there was a little twitch. But it was still, but the prosthetic was able to detect the signals and still moved. So he was able to walk again. And it showed various examples and videos of that, which I thought was very fascinating. And he closes his speech with a rather touching story about a dancer who had lost a leg and through the use of prosthetics was able to regain her ability to dance. And he actually introduced the person, and she was able to perform live for the first time, actually, with this new prosthetic leg. And it was a very touching scene. That had a very good effect to the speech, which I thought was very successful. And the third TED Talk, by an Andreas Raptopoulos. And he was talking about, the title of his speech was No Roads, There's a Drone for That. He goes on by explaining that despite Africa's leaps with communication, their transportation is still not the best, mainly by the lack of usable roads. How during the wet season, 85% of their roads are no longer usable, and this can provide a major problem, especially when it comes to emergencies. Say, the example he brought up was your child has an illness, and you send in a request for medicine, which is instantly received because of the good communication, but it still could be several days before the package finally arrived. So the solution to this problem he was proposing and talking about was a system, a grid of drones. There are these little drones about, too big, can't show you on the camera, but they were about 2 feet wide, 2 feet in diameter, and how these drones could deliver a small 2 kilogram package in a matter of minutes. They could spend, it would take them 15 minutes to travel 10 kilometers. So the supplies would be delivered rather fast. And he went on explaining how this was actually a very cheap project. The price of sending one drone was only a few cents. And also these drones were very durable. They were built to withstand even storms and harsh weather conditions. And he even brought a drone on stage as an example, showing how it flew and how it dropped down and delivered its package. He used several visuals and videos in his speech, and he was enthusiastic about it. And one interesting point he brought up was how this can be effective not just for Africa, but even for urban nations such as America. How, say, ambulances get stuck in traffic, how it could take several minutes for them to get through a traffic jam. And how a drone could simply just fly over the traffic and deliver the package, giving initial response while the ambulance made its way through the streets. They would have that essentials very quickly. And he was very enthusiastic about how this could change multiple nations and the future of transportation in and of itself. So, those were the 3 TED Talks I watched. Talk to you guys later.